I'm going to make my advice this week really easy to understand. That way, even Homer Simpson knows where I'm coming from. You see these? Yeah. Don't run with them. You'll hurt someone. That might even be yourself. And if you care about yourself, which I hope you do, don't run with scissors. Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we are doing an episode of Hot and Cold. This is a video series I like to do where I talk about the best and worst music I have heard over the past week, the hot being the best, the cold being the worst, and some middle of the road tracks too. As per usual, as always, the songs will be linked down in the description. If you want to check out any of them, feel free to do so, and if you have any recommendations for future episodes, feel free to let me know. Let's go. Hot tracks. First up, we have another new single from Brockhampton. This is the third week in a row with a new Brockhampton single. This one is called Boy Bye. This single was dropped along with an album announcement for Ginger, which is due to come out on August 23rd. Obviously, I'm hyped. Given the teaser tracks we've had up until this point, they have been fire. This new one is no exception to that. Boy Bye is a shorter and briefer entry. It crams in a lot of different members like Dom, Matt, Kevin, Bareface, Merlin, and Joba. Frankly, I'm amazed at how this 2-minute track can really fit in as many singers as it does while keeping it catchy. Moving on from there, we have the Glorious Sons with their new single, The Ongoing Speculation into the Death of Rock and Roll. That was a mouthful. This is another short song in addition to that Brockhampton one. This was a previously performed song at Blues Fest this summer. I got a little bit of a sneak peek there. I feel like a cheater in some way, knowing that this song was previously existing. Regardless, I still see it being a fan favorite for years to come. It has some racing guitar chords, some high energy keys, and it has a furiously good vocal performance. Not by Big Thief is the next song I want to talk about. I love the lo-fi and distorted guitars through and through, whether they are in the verses or in an instrumental section. It's rough around the edges. It offers something a bit different in your face. Yeah, and I love the brooding and swaying vibes I get from this one. Moving on from there, Taylor Swift, she has released her title track for the upcoming album that is so close to coming. I can smell it. I can taste it. It's just there. This new one from T Swift is another ballad that has reverb-drenched instruments. We have a bit more of a rock-leaning progression to it. We have some drums that have a nice 6/8 rhythm to them and fill the mix compared to the last track she put out, The Archer. Still a little disappointing to hear how things are coming together production-wise. It sounds a little faded or washed out, but at the core of the track, I think there is a stickier melody and catchiness to it that I can only praise. So yeah, just hoping that that new album comes together nicely. Brittany Howard has a new single this week. It's called He Loves Me. This is a song that I love for its sludgy and bass-heavy tones. We have a piercing shrill to the guitar and a sweet walk-along melody. There is a bit of an odd pacing to it with this sample that pops in from time to time here or there. It still is effective as this compelling song, however. Next up, Death Cab for Cutie. They've released another single for their upcoming EP. This new song is called To the Ground. This one is roaring and clamoring for its drums. I love what they're doing with the production here. It's very different. We have some different drum styles being incorporated into this band's identity, and it's something I seem to not get enough of. In other words, this EP is shaping up to be a good one, and I can't wait for it to be released at the beginning of September. More and more hot tracks as we go along here. Charli XCX featuring Sky Ferreira. Cross You Out is the name of this one. It is very noisy, it's boisterous with its synthesizers, a tad overcooked, but another stunning gem with synth pop and a unique spin on it ahead of the curve, very futuristic. Living in Lightning is the new City in Color single that came out last week. It is the opening track from this new City in Color album that has now been announced. The album title has been released, A Pill for Loneliness, and it is due to drop on October 4th. forth. But this new single, let's talk about that. It opens like a US Girls kind of song with its psychedelic faded drums. We get some washed over guitars that flood the mix. It's pretty dreamy with its aesthetic, and it's very dazzling and awe-inspiring. Now wrapping up the hot tracks of the week, we have a new The Neighbourhood single here. I have to say "the" in front of it to make the band name as proper as it can be. Middle of Somewhere is the name of this one. It is an acoustic tune, has a catchy melody, and yeah, it's better than a lot of what they put on the last album they came out with last year. One of the worst albums I listened to, I might add. Yeah, so this new single from The Neighbourhood isn't very inventive, but it doesn't really ruin the song. It's still enjoyable. I'm just hoping that this band can rebound from the slump that they've had with their musical output over the past few years. And hopefully this one puts them back on the map. Now moving on to the middle of the road tracks for the week. These are songs that I thought were okay, not the best, not the worst. Just something to put out there. You might enjoy them. I don't know. First up, we have some cleaner and sterile mixing to the Canadian alternative rock act Grandson. This new one from them is entitled Rock Bottom. This artist has already released one of my favorite EPs of 2019, and he's back again with a single that throws in trap elements of drums that are really shaked and baked with some grimy guitars and 808s. Unfortunately, though, this new tune does not compare to any of those amazing songs on that EP. Another Canadian artist to put out a new song last week was Allan Rayman. Pretty Please is the name of this one, and I've given this artist some praise. He had one of my favorite Canadian albums from last year. This new tune has some vocal clipping and muffled percussion. The melody, though, is kind of run-of-the-mill and forgettable. As soon as it's played, I really forget it. And yeah, it's tolerable. Moving on from there, Normani has a new single, Motivation. It's overproduced, pretty predictable with its structure, purely meant to be consumed as this easy listening pop song. Not much thought needs to be put into it while actively listening, but there is a catchy hook that has me coming back to it. Need You by DVBBS, some house music here. This is a dynamic song. It has this progression to it, very interesting and encapsulating with its production. Just not a single I can see myself coming back to multiple times. It might just be an entertaining one-time listen. And lastly, for the middle of the road tracks, we have a new Miley Cyrus single, Slide Away. Miley doesn't sound the best vocally here. It's still better than a lot of the crap that was on her latest EP earlier from this year. It's just painfully 2019 and generic as far as the chorus goes. It's underwhelming. And now moving on to the cold tracks of the past week. These are by far the worst songs I heard, and we're going to keep up the Cyrus family name here. We have a single from Miley's younger sister, Noah. This new one is called July, and yeah, this is the younger sister of Miley. She sounds vocally flat and nondescript. I'm not a fan of this tune at all, although it is fairly sweet and raw with its intent. Yep, next up, Sway Lee, his new song Sextasy. You know when a song is named something as dumb as that, it can't really offer much. And yeah, this is sultry trap music. It's very vomit-inducing, if I might add. The vocals are mixed too quietly, thank goodness, because if they were any louder, I would be pretty annoyed, more than what I already am. And what makes this song even worse is that the instrumental sounds like it's taken from GarageBand. It's so bland and repetitive. Not to bash on GarageBand too hard. And lastly, to wrap up this week, we have a new single from Diplo featuring Morgan Wallen. This one is called Heartless. The interesting thing I will say about this song is that the Old Town Road effect has definitely happened. We can now see artists trying to pull off this country trap pop blend. However, as a genre melding song here, I feel like it fails across the board. We have numerous watered down elements of pop, trap, and country. We have flavorless guitars, we have plain trap beats, and a lifeless vocal performance. Yeah, And there you have it, there's Hot and Cold for this week. Thanks for joining and listening to my opinions. Sound off down below in the comments to share yours about these songs or anything that's going on in your life. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new in town. I'll catch you next time, and as always, have a rockin' day.